podcast in the world that helps athletes develop proficiency and assist in their passion for the game they love. Thanks to every one of you coming back each and every week. Listen, execute, and dominate. This is episode 14, your very own ML player. He has played 13 years in the MLB. He has signed when he was 17 years out of high school with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's also was second in the voting for Rookie of the Year in 1991 behind Jeff Bagwell. Now he's coaching the Puerto Rican national team. He also has a career batting average of 277. This man has played with some great players like Barry Bonds, Bobby Bonilla, Eddie Van Slyke, Jeff Bagwell, Tim Wakefield, Mo Vaughn, and many, many more. We'll be discussing hot topics, baseball, and playoffs. Right now, it's getting close to that time, and we're going to be talking about what's the difference between playing playoff baseball and regular season. We're also going to talk about the distractions as an elite baseball player and how the MLB analyticals and social media has changed the game from high school to college to pro. It's the very own Orlando Merced. How you doing, Orlando?
I'm doing good, Coach. Hey, thanks for the opportunity of share some of my knowledge with you and being part of the show.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Hey, it's just a pleasure to have someone like yourself, and you can show your expertise and everything. I just want to make sure that we get right to it. But hey, Orlando, I gotta say, I'm so honored to have you on the show because, like I said before the show, we're pretty close in age, and I never knew that I'll be having a podcast and someone that I watch play baseball, I'll be on my show. So it's great to have you on the show, and I'm going to go ahead and kick off the very first question. Coming out of Puerto Rico, what was it like at 17 getting signed? Because you didn't get drafted; they signed you. It's a little different back in the day. Can you break that down? How it was then?
Well, coming from Puerto Rico, at the time, it was no draft. Most of the athletes that signed professionally there signed as a free agent. A lot of the scouts from the teams in the United States will go to Dominican Republic and visit some of the facilities there because all 30 teams have a facility in Dominican. So Dominican and Puerto Rico are, 20 to 30-minute flights. So they'll fly to Puerto Rico and see the talent in Puerto Rico, and then from there they'll return back to the United States. So um, it was a fun time for me. I was playing other sports in high school. Used to run track and field. I used to play water polo. I used to play
Hmm.
volleyball,
Wow.
basketball, and even softball. So I wasn't the greatest athlete, but I had that hunger to become one of the elite players leaving the island to play in the major leagues.
Well, it was a blessing. God really blessed you, Orlando. And I'm
Yes,
going to
sir.
say, I'm going to say you were a very good athlete due to the fact that you left Puerto Rico and you made your life better. So it was a blessing in disguise. So, you
Yes,
know,
sir.
thank God for that. But Orlando, let's get right to it. Starting off in the minors, I did some research. You played in the minors for 6 years. Is that correct?
Yes, I lost 1 year due to an injury. I had got hit by a pitch by Kurt Schilling about 98 mile an hour back when
Oh,
he was had no control. So yeah, I did. I mean, it took me 5 years to actually reach the major league. So
hmm,
um, I experienced a lot in those 5 years,
five
moving
years.
from the
Puerto
South
Rico.
Florida all the way through Watertown, New York, and even Canada.
Hmm. Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, with that being said, when you finally got that call being in the minors for 6 years, what was that like when you first got that call? What did you what was going on through your head? The Orlando of young. What was you going on at that time?
Well, I mean, it's pretty funny the way it happened. It's funny now, but back then it was really I was really worried that after my worst game in the minor leagues, um, we were playing in Pawtucket against Mo Vaughn and the Boston Red Sox. The AAA team was there. I was playing in Buffalo, New York. The Bisons used to be the Pittsburgh Pirates AAA.
Okay.
So it was one of those rainy days. You start play 4 inning, and then the rain delay, and then you go back, and I had worst game. I think I strike out like 3 times, men in scoring position with less than 2 outs.
Mhm.
Then I strike out, I strike out 5 times that game. Um, After the game, we all sat. We lost the game. Went back to the boss. We are when heading back to the hotel. And on my way, you can see the rain. It's kind of like a movie. You can see the rain drip, on the window, and you're going down thinking, you know, about the game. How down you fell. Uh, the worst spot you can probably as an athlete, when you try to help your team win and nothing goes your way. But I didn't think much about it. I just went back to the hotel and I remember praying that night, Coach.
Mhm.
I went back and I asked God that night. I was like, "Listen, God, I don't care if I ever fell again. I just don't want to feel the way I felt. I felt like I was the lowest. I mean, my soul was completely uh, on my feet. So I asked him, I don't care what happens in my career. I'll do the best I can every day. I just if I strike out 4 or 5 times, I just don't want to feel uh, the right word for feeling so down, so empty. And I remember crying in bed, and I pray and I went to sleep, and I wake up early in the morning, and we used to stay in one of those Howard John's hotel that has 2 floor and a swimming pool in the middle. The breakfast was really good there, and the ice creams were really delicious there. So even though we were in AAA, I went down to eat breakfast, and I walk around the pool and down on the pool. Um, I spent a couple hours. Um, I returned back to my room. It was a little bit past 10:30, 11 o'clock. So I returned back to my room, and I went to take a shower, and the phone ring. So I'm taking a shower. Oh, they can call back. So the phone kept ringing. So I finally got out of the shower and went and answered the phone. And they hang up right at the time that I got to the phone. So I come back to the shower. Well, it's time I'm going to finish my shower. Phone get hurry up and finish my shower because we need to get ready to go to the field. And then ringing, and all of a sudden, I hear someone knocking on the door. I mean, a big bang in the door. A little that I know, I walked out of the room. I'm thinking it's my roommate. He left the key, whatever. Um, so I opened the door, and it's Terry Collins, or manager, yelling at me, "Where are you at? Where you been? I've been trying to call you since 9 o'clock this morning." And I'm like, "Well, Terry, I went to eat breakfast. What the heck?" The worst and the first thing comes to your mind as a player is, well, I got released. The reason why he's trying to reach me is for getting pack my stuff. I'm going home. Little did I know. I mean, this is the worst game I had. Even though I was having a great year in AAA, that's the first thing that comes to a baseball player, especially professional baseball player. You always think you're going to get released, and you need to get 10 minutes to get to the airport. And I'm like, yeah, where I'm going? It's like, well, you going to Pittsburgh? You just got called up. Do you have a suit? And I say, a suit? I didn't even know what a suit was. Probably the only time I wore a suit was when my sister got married, and I was the ring bearer. You know what I mean? So here I am, scared that I'm thinking that I'm getting released, and he's trying to pack my stuff. So so he can get me to the airport as soon as possible.
Oh,
So, looking back, there was a bit difficult to communicate outside the baseball world.
right,
With your teammate, you communicate really well because every word you need inside the baseball field. But outside the baseball field, when you face someone else, it's just difficult. It's not like
right,
a fan. It's like, he's taking me to the airport. He just left me at the door at the airport. So he's asking me to walk to the counter
right,
and try to figure out which fly I'm in. It was easier back then because you can walk in and it wasn't so much security, but still.
right,
So I got to the airline counter and I, show my ID, and it was the first time I ever flew first class. So you're looking at my ticket, and it's seat number 1B. So it's like, oh, did they make a mistake, or you're in the back of the. But it was awesome. First time I get to fly first class, and I'm going to Pittsburgh. Well, I was married at the time. My wife was in Buffalo, New York, and I'm in Pawtucket, and I'm going to Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh and Buffalo are pretty close, but I mean, they're a few miles away. And I'm trying, we didn't have cell phones back then, so I
right,
have to go into the telephone booth and dial collect because back then we didn't make a lot of money, so it was easy. I didn't have that many quarters on me you know, so I had to call collect. So I called the house. I called my mother-in-law and I said, "Listen, I'm trying to reach Lori. I'm going to Pittsburgh. I'm going to Pittsburgh, so I need to let her know that I'm going to the major leagues." Well, they live in Akron, Ohio, North Canton, Ohio, which is between Pittsburgh. I mean, it's probably about 3 hours from Pittsburgh, which it was not, too far. I didn't know that then. I didn't have to fly. I didn't know geography in terms of Ohio, Pittsburgh, how close they were to each other. Um, so I couldn't reach my wife, so I reached my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, and I got on the plane. I got on the plane and flew to Pittsburgh, and I'm really excited, and nervous at the same time because the games. It was a Sunday. No, it was an early Saturday game, if I'm not mistaken, or an early Friday game. It was July 27, 1990. I really can't tell you exactly the day. At least I know I know
yeah,
what happened. But anyway, so I got to Pittsburgh and I'm looking for my luggage. I'm looking for my basics. So I'm concerned because I can't find my suitcase and I can't find my baseball bag. And here I'm going to the major leagues, and I'm thinking, well, if I don't get there on time, either I'm going to get fined or I'm going to get released.
right,
So here I am walking on the different belt at the old Pittsburgh Airport, which was in Moon Township and near Sweekley, PA. So anyway, I run into Manny Sanguin, which is one of the old timers that you get to know while you're in the minor leagues because they walk on during spring training. They introduce themselves. They help you feel comfortable. They give you advice about hitting and playing the game. So I run into him, and he says to me, "Orlando, where are you? Are you a layover? Are you going to Buffalo?" And I'm like, "No, actually, I'm going to Pittsburgh. I'm supposed to be at the stadium at the game. It was like 5:15. The game start at 6, so I need to get there as soon as possible, and I can't find my luggage." And he goes, "Well, just wait for me right here. I'm going to go get your luggage." So he went and got my luggage. His wife was outside waiting for him. So he got my luggage. He said, "Kid, come with me." I jump in his Jeep Cherokee. Oh, Isuzu Trooper. I'm sorry. I jump in his truck, and we're going to the road, and all of a sudden we hit traffic. I mean, big time traffic. I asked Manny, "Hey, Manny, how far are you from the stadium?" He's like, "Man, we're about 20, 30 minutes because that's how far the airport was. But don't worry, I'm going to get you there on time." So he goes in the medium, coach, and back up about 2 miles because we've passed earlier an exit that could have shortcut to the city of Pittsburgh. So he took me through the mountains, through the river, and and on a on a one-way road, he goes into the River Stadium against all traffic. The cops pull him over. I'm thinking, not only I'm going to get released, I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get thrown in jail now
Jail.
because
Right.
Manny is driving. Two Latinos in Pittsburgh driving, on the wrong way of the road, on the right side of the road.
Oh Lord. Wow.
And the police, yeah, but I have to take this hit. He's just got caught up, and the game is about to start. And he looks at him and start talking on his walkie-talkie, whatever you guys call it, and calls the cop that it's on the next stop. So here we go. We are again actually uh, taken to the main by the policemen's, going, on a one-way street. Uh, so finally, he gets me to the right door, and he goes, "Go through that gate. Get your bag. Go through that gate. At the end of that tunnel, you go make a right, and the first entrance you see, you make a right, and that's the clubhouse. You'll find John Houlihan, who passed away during that year or the year after, and he was a clubhouse manager for, wow, before Danny Murtaugh and Roberto Clemente and all those guys. So it was an old school, equipment manager who treated me like a kid. Immediately I walk in there. Actually, he lent me his locker. My first locker was John Houlihan locker. Got me to the back. I got suited up. I got all the uniform. I picked up the bats. I picked up my glove, my helmet, and I sit down in the middle of the clubhouse watching the game. And he's like, "Hey kid, what are you doing?" And it's like, "Well, I'm watching the game." And he says, "Yeah, but you need to go out. You need to go to the bench. You watch the game there better." Um, and here I am walking through the tunnels, got to the end of the dugout, and I look up and I see this little teeny guy, Jimmy Leland, smoking a heater, looking at me, going, "Hey, Merced, come on." Uh, so the first time I ever walked on Tri River Stadium, I passed Jim. He shook my hand, and the team was playing defense at that time. We were playing against the Philadelphia Phillies. Man, when I walked out, there was probably 40,000 people at Tri River Stadium, and that astroturf, that artificial turf, felt like it was cotton, like you were walking in air, like really smooth, really smoochy, like it would just, wow, the movies you say, "Is this heaven?" So
Right.
I felt that it's like, oh my God, I didn't realize I reached the top of my goal, which I was living my dream at that time.
Man, that's a blessing. All right, man, Orlando. That's you given a lot of information. I've got to ask you this question because you were a first baseman and an outfielder, a right fielder at that. Let me ask you this question: how did you become a first baseman and a right fielder? Because if you think about it, okay, let's think about now baseball. You're not that big of a guy. You're a
Hmm.
switch hitter. I'm like, wow, that the game has really changed. Think about how it's changed for the position. Normally first basemen are long ball hitters, which we know that. And then I looked at you, I'm like, man, Orlando is he's special. He can do it all from both sides of the plate. Can you break that down? first baseman to outfield?
Well, well, I see. I sign as a I end up playing short, second, third. Um, I always found that weak link in our team. So if I knew there was a guy that was not playing well, I used to go and work out on that position because my goal was to at all time. I wanted to play. So I even caught in the major league one inning to Bud Patterson in 1990. So Jay Bell was playing shortstop. Joselin was playing um, second base. We got Jeff King and Bobby Bonilla playing third base. We also have Wally Backman. Then we have Sid Bream, who
Right.
my rookie year when I first got there was the everyday player. Him and Gary Reed. So Jimmy Leland had two players, a lefty and a righty, sometimes playing in one position to maximize that production on that position. So at first year, came up as a pinch hitter. Remember a guy named John Cangelosi. He's also from Puerto Rico, but grew up in New York City. Uh, he started the year in Pittsburgh, and things did not went well for him. So we moved him to and which I'm always probably the team that I like most just because it's the first team and the only team to give me a chance and the team that I actually made it to the major league. So that period in my life, it's always going to have the greatest moments. But when they took a chance, then the year after my rookie year, I knew I had to work on that position, even though I was playing middle infielder. Um, when I was in Double A, Steve Anderson, who used to play for the first base, big right-hander hitter, got injured in Triple A. So uh, I'm trying to remember the player developed guy at that time, and I have the name right on the tip of my mouth. Um, in just probably 10 minutes, he showed me base and what kind of angles I needed to in order to he kind of helped me understand the footwork on first base. And once Sid Breen left, I saw the opportunity there because offensively I knew I was aggressive. I had a good eye. I love to hit. I worked, very hard to control my center of gravity and my balance and be able to cover at least 3.5, 4 feet, especially when you had to strike. So his name I came across show me how to play first base. Um, and I've always been grateful about a lot of people, Woody Heike and, Jeff Cox and um, many other guys, Bossy Killers, Larry Doty, and Terry Collins, Jimmy Leland, Cito Gaston. When you play in the minor leagues and you have a chance uh, to compete for a position and they believe in you and they share their knowledge and they help you become not only a better player but a better human. uh, those things you always want to be grateful and you always send blessings from everybody because of what they did. Then they didn't do it with me only. I mean, there are probably 600 players in the minor leagues. They probably touched each and every one of them in certain aspects in their life.
Mm, that's good. Orlando, that's I mean you that's you've got two lives. What you've been through, you've been through so much in a good way. I mean, God has blessed you
Oh yeah.
tremendously. You've been tremendously blessed to put a talent within itself. Which that brings me to the next question. What give me two things that you've learned coming from minor league to the MLB at a young age? What are some two life lessons that you've learned from minor league to major league transition?
Well, I, I believe what helped me a lot to become a consistent learning how to play the game. The basics, player, when to bunt to first, when to bunt to second, when when the two types of hit and runs. The one that needs to go on the ground, it's taking the manager a chance that slow at first, probably find a good pitch to hit when you have run with less than 2 outs, so you can get an RBI. Get the job done, simplify the game. Uh, all those things I learned in the minor leagues at a higher level, but I learned how to hit when I actually got to AAA, because the guy that got hurt that I replaced, Dave Henderson, that was also a coach for the Tampa Bay. It was a hitting coach for Tampa Bay in the early stage. Um, was humble enough um, to share his knowledge of the game, of how to hit, and he made me believe that I was good enough and that I belong here. So believe in yourself, meaning you've put the hard work, you've done what you need to do to reach this level. So now when you go from now on, you need to trust in yourself and believe and have faith that things are going to go your way.
Right.
I mean, and there's so many other things that I can probably, and so many other people that I can probably, Jay Ward, who passed away, who was also my coach in the minor leagues. He was a manager of Salem, Roanoke, Virginia. Play, coach, manage professional baseball. So um, I remember an off season, I went to St. Petersburg, Florida, to the weight box, to train with him, with weight box, and he was the actual coach that it was just him and me every day, him and Way every day. It wasn't a lot of people, you know what I mean?
Right.
Um, and it was and we hit hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of balls, and we spoke about that earlier, and how angles and the velo and the speed of your bat and all that. Man, we had a swing for every different pitch. If it was
Mm,
low and away, we
wow.
learned how to cut. We learned how to cut the distance to that baseball so we can put it in play.
Mm,
If it was up and in, how to get to that pitch up and in. If it was low and in, how to get to that pitch. If you was looking for a fastball and it throw you a changeup or a curveball, or you couldn't hit all the pitches, but at least you try to stay through that zone as long as possible, so
right.
you be able to have you know the opportunity to become successful. So there was a lot of things that I learned um, through the minor leagues, but I think when I got to the AAA level, it's when I really understood and really learned how to hit.
Well, that's good. I mean, because you said some things that I've never even thought about how to hit a. There's two type of hit and runs, and I'm like, wait a minute. I
Yeah.
like what he said. They don't talk. We don't talk about that. There's two type of hit and runs, and how do you hit a ball that's a certain coming a different angle, and instead of going, let's look at the analyticals, let's look at the exit velo, and it's just too much information. But what I'm gonna go ahead and stay on track. explain to me this. This is what I have next question. You went in and played for the Pittsburgh Pirates, very first
Hmm.
team. And by the way, we talked before we got on the show, but that was my first favorite baseball team because they had Willie Stargell, Dave Parker, because Willie Stargell had this wiggle. He had this wiggle with his bat,
Yeah.
and I thought it was kind of entertaining when I was a young boy. But my question to you is this: what was it like playing with all those future Hall of Famers and Pittsburgh Hall of Famers? And I know that my guy should be in the Hall of Fame, which we already talked. Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame, but that's for another subject, another
Oh, of course.
day. But my question to you is
Yeah.
this: how did you make that adjustment? You had the best coach too, by the way. You had a Leland. He was awesome. He's a great coach. He
Oh yeah.
knows baseball.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But I was really disappointed. I actually got sick when you guys lost. I was sick. I was sick. I was
I was
sick.
too.
I was
I
sick. I
was
was
too.
like, how did we lose to this Braves team? That's another story for another day.
Not only that, three times in a row, and then I
Three
went to
times.
Houston. I lost twice to them too. So
So I was like, I
I
don't like
lost
Atlanta.
against for 5 years.
So you know I do not like Atlanta Braves under no circumstances. Period. So I'm
Well,
sorry.
welcome to
I'm,
my dream.
I'm sorry, Orlando. We're getting off track. I'm sorry. I just thought about that because I'm like, wait a minute. Orlando played with Barry Bonds, and I'm a diehard. I wore his number. I did everything. I played his position. I did it all. So my question to you is this: it says, what was the highs and the lows going for a three-peat National League pennant? Three. Now we're not talking about the loss. We're talking about the wins. Let's talk about the win. What was it? What was the highs and what was the lows going there three times in a row with all that talent?
Well, the high is that every day. I mean, every day that you showed up to the park and put a uniform on, you knew you were going to win, and you had the right combination. You had the right pitchers. You had the right bullpen. You had the right bench. Jimmy knew how to maximize the bench. The bench. I mean, he knew what tickled every single player in our team. He knew when Gary Varsha was good off the bench. He knew when Lloyd McClendon was good off the bench. He knew when Orlando Merced needed a day off or come off the bench. He knew what to say to the big boys, Barry and Bobby and Ben Slyke, and he just knew how to keep you so calm, and it would just, when you feel that you can't wait to get to the field because everything just feels right.
Right.
Uh, this did not matter if you lost 2-3 games in a row. You knew that the minute that you showed up to that field, I mean, you liked everything. I mean, you wanted to be there early. You got to work out. We had, Warren Sip, or coach, conditioning and strengthening. Rest in peace. I mean, everything. Our coaches were good. Donnelly, Lemon, Tommy Sand. Uh, Everybody got along really well. Everybody did their job. Everybody knew what their job was, and everybody knew if you get on, you do your job, and you do mine, and I do mine, and you do yours.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna win.
Right.
I mean, we won 90 plus game 3 years in a row. We went through the pennant. Unfortunately, we faced the Atlanta Braves, and hey, they earned it. They had a tremendous pitching staff. I mean, faces: Small, Maddox, Lavin, Avery, Merker, Acuna. I mean, you name it. They did. They were a big market, so they had more money than the Pirates to acquire different, more talented people and play. And the team of the '90, the Braves and the Pirates. I think it was a team. The unfortunately, we lost.
Right.
I mean, I was sick. I couldn't believe that we lost. We were winning. I was in that game with Sibring score. That winning run. I was playing first base. A lot of people don't remember, but I think it was John McSharon or John, the umpire, was that passed away in Cincinnati, mid-90s. He was in home play that game, the seventh game, and he had a little stroke. We had to stop the game.
Oh,
Go change and go behind the plate. So there was one umpire short game seven. Even a lot of people, even the bad, to me was a good experience because God gave me the opportunity to be there. Not everybody they need a player like Orlando said and Celine in order for them to be better than us.
right.
So imagine if every player was just like your hometown hero, or in my case was Roberto Clemente. So I was blessed. I knew the family. I grew up across the street from the Roberto Clemente. I signed with the Pirates because of Roberto Clemente family. His
Mm.
widow took me to the tryout. I knew their three sons, the Roberto, Enrique, and Louis. I mean, I knew them till this day, and we still get in touch. I see Louis in Puerto Rico, and I see Roberto at times. So, um, I was blessed to play for the Pirates. I was blessed to play the same position my idol growing up in Puerto Rico played. Um, I was playing with some of the players that we share the league. Chico Lin, Barry Bonds, Jeff King. I play, in some of the teams they play, and even in spring training. So we knew each other. The Pirates came from losing 100+ games in 3-4 years in a row. They put a good team together, and they knew, and most of the players came from the minor league. So because they didn't have the money to go out and,
Right.
and get players. I
Right.
remember we got Zane Smith from Montreal, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so back then they did, their scouting. They signed, they trade, they try to that they put a best team, the lowest budget, best in the league, and end up winning 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
We came in short. Uh, I wish after the fact, you can say, I wish I would have had a chance to play in the World Series. But hey, you know what? I was blessed that I got that close. I was blessed
Right.
that I was able to play in the major league for 13 years and 65 days. I don't know how
Mm.
many minutes are, it's a blessing.
Right.
You didn't get 3,000 hits, 400 or 500 home runs. My dream was to play in the major league, and I accomplished that. And God bless me that allowed me to stay that long.
Well, that's good, Orlando. I think that you said it so good. You said God blessed you because everything you said, it seemed like you're a very humble guy. You're appreciative of every opportunity. You maximize the opportunities, and you know where you come from. So you have such a humble heart, and I want to tell you thank you because that's what it takes to be a great person and a great baseball player. And this interview is touching because everything you said was God, God. Every time you say a word, you say God, and I love it because God is first in everything. Without Him, we're nothing. And He's made those opportunities
Yeah.
available for you. So I just want to say, God be the glory and praise God for that. I'm so thankful. You had an opportunity to play.
Amen.
You had an opportunity to play in Japan for a short
Yes,
stint.
sir.
So how did that go in Japan? Is the game different? I mean, is the game different from Japan, far as money, far as everything? because they know we got Shohei Utani now. So, what is this like? What is it like going to Japan to play?
Well, in 1999, I finished the year in Puerto Rico because I always play winter ball. I always went back home and played during the winter. Um, and allows me to, it's kind of like a showcase for international team. I never got invited to go to play Mexico, but I did got invited to play in Japan. And I played with the Oryx Blue Waves, is a Kobe, Japan, which Ichiro Suzuki was their main right field and everyday player. It was their best player there. So I was able to meet him in Japan. I was able to compete with him in Japan. And even though I didn't play that many games at a higher level in Japan, because they only two spots for gaijins, for um, guys that come from outside, non-Japanese player. There's only two or max three that can play in the roster. I'm sure back then. I'm not sure now. I have not followed, but they are very disciplined. They run as a group. They bow to the older. They train very hard. Um, they're born disciplined. They play discipline and they'll die disciplined because they're very military. Um, you're different to them, and they keep you close enough but far away enough, so you don't interfere in their culture, because you're not accepted to go in all the places. But you learn respect. You learn to take your shoes off when you walk in the field. I mean, there's no tobacco there. You can spit on the field. In the clubhouse, you gotta have sandals. You not allowed to walk on shoes. So you learn a little bit of the discipline. The food is completely different in Japan. It's not, the common sushi that people love here. That's just California roll. People call it, sushi. That's not sushi. You go to Japan and you go live the way we live, and you're gonna, you're gonna try things that you never thought you would. So, adapting to the culture or the game was not difficult, but I think their tradition wasn't really that difficult if you learn how to respect that. Um, they're very aggressive on the field. They're very quick. A lot of pitchers throw hard. They love when a non-Japanese player hit a home run. They want you to lift your arms and celebrate because you're different. Um, but the food, I think, the food was the toughest for me to overcome because it was different, and um, I was, I had to go to an IV 8 times during the whole year, so I was dehydrated. I mean, I can't eat everything that they eat. I mean, I try, but at the end, I end up eating Kobe beef and rice every day, 3 times, 4 times a day. So I'm sure this has changed now, but I loved it. I was able to visit Okinawa, Osaka, Tokyo. I mean, it is a beautiful place. There's 600 islands. Um, Kobe is beautiful. I mean, I just
That's good.
1999, 2000 was about 2 to 3 years after they had that big earthquakes
Right.
in Kobe. So,
Okay.
but I really enjoyed it. My wife and my son were there, and my wife is a blue-eyed redhead from Springfield, Missouri, and my son is a mix of Puerto Rican and Missourian. So. Um, he looks Japanese, so they thought she was babysitting him most of the time.
Oh
So But
Oh
my son
wow.
is playing ball too as well, and now I'm excited. I'm going to Puerto Rico, uh, October 22nd.
Okay.
So I'm I was blessed last year that my son was drafted by the team I work for, Indios de Mayagüez, and he got to play as a rookie there. So I'm
Oh,
excited to see him again play this year at that high level.
great. That's praise God. That's wonderful, man. Which that leads me
Yeah.
to the last two questions I have for you. I mean, because this is it. This is a this like right. People don't know what an encyclopedia is. People that listen to this show don't know what. I feel like I'm reading an encyclopedia of Orlando Merced. You just gave me so much information. I'm gonna have to get you on the show again because I couldn't even get through all my questions. But I got one.
No,
I got two
that's
questions
fine.
for you. Two questions. You talked about Puerto
You know,
Rico.
I wish I could remember actually every detail in my life during my minor league career. I'm writing things down. I think I'm gonna try to write a book. You know, about all the blessings and about all the people that I met and about all my experiences. I'm working with a friend of mine on it. We got all the questions done. It's about detailing now, so hopefully that becomes a bestseller and we can share more about the blessings in my life and those who have been around those blessings as well.
Well, listen, I love it. I got to ask some questions for you. I got two last questions. Number one question is this: coaching the Puerto Rican national team, what is it like for you as a Puerto Rican? How do you feel coaching the national team? What is that like? How does that feel to you? Also, you're a Roberto Clemente fan, which I honor you for that. I think that's great and that's awesome. So, what is it like when you had that opportunity? You're still coaching them. So, what is that like?
Well, I have not coached them the past 2 years. I was coaching the with the males, the guys, the boys, and then the federation in Puerto Rico asked me to coach the girls because they were also developing. They needed me to help both teams. I, Edwin Rodriguez, who's the first manager, Puerto Rican manager in major leagues, became the manager of our national team, and we had a great coaching staff because they all had major league baseball experience. So we were able to share a lot of the knowledge to these young players, and they maximized their talent immediately because they knew they trusted, like Igor Gonzalez knowledge. Uh, there were a lot of people around the game at the time. So, Alex Correa, Eduardo Perez, just to mention a few that were Julio Valera. I mean, there were a lot of people that play in the major leagues and that we compete, during the winter times in Puerto Rico. So it was very competitive. So uh, they learned how to play the game the right way. I think Edwin did, for the most part, taught fundamentals, uh, and the result was a second place and then some finals. So evolution, the team, younger people, now the sub 23 is getting better. You have, Igor now, Juan Gonzalez coaching the team. You got Yadi Molina also involved. I mean, you got people that are Hall of Fame caliber now sharing information with all these players. So better, the sponge. So you hear, you listen, you apply, and something good will happen. Something good will happen. Um, if you practice the way you play, you will always learn something. It's not a switch that you can turn on and off.
Mhm.
You have to do it 100 times. You're going to have to do it 100 times. For some people, 25 is enough. For other people, it's not enough. So you have to learn how to mold that with the players that you have. Um, but the national team was a great experience. I was able to go to Japan. I was able to go to China, Taipei. I mean, I was able to go so it was a great experience to see these young players, male and female, develop into consistent player, which the female are in the top 10 and the boys are in the top 10, worldwide. So that's kind of good. I I was blessed that I shared some of my knowledge. Other people shared more knowledge, obviously, but I was able to do that, and then uh, then go manage in Mexico and coach in Mexico. And baseball has always been a blessing for me, man, because it's always give you a job here. You meet new people. uh you can share. It was nothing better that Sunday when somebody's asking you if we can do chapel for the boys, for the kids. And of course, I mean, baseball chapel started when I was in the major leagues. So I'm sure they started before, but not a lot of people actually follow the baseball chapel, and baseball chapel is pretty big right now. I mean,
Right.
you got to have some faith. You don't go there asking God for hits, and then don't show up anymore. You got to ask Him for a lot of things. I mean, it's okay to ask, but you got to be faithful. You got to believe. You got to keep learning and growing, and accept the failures because
Mm-hmm.
you learn more from them.
That's right.
Uh, and then you move on.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get older, a young, older, 55 to 60. And every second you get, every morning, every time you go to bed at night, it's like, I appreciate it, God. Thank
That's
you for
right.
another
That's right.
day in paradise.
That's
So
right. You're right. Orlando.
it's all about perspective. How do you put things, and how do you look? Some
That's
people,
right.
they don't receive it well, and they don't appreciate it. Or other people, man, we're blessed and we just keep moving.
Yeah. Orlando, I want to say thank you, man. I got to end on that note because everything you said was what I was going to say. One of my things I say, faith without works is dead. Every day that we can breathe is an opportunity, and I thank God every day
Yeah,
that I can breathe. I got up this morning. I was able to walk. I was able to talk. I was able to do the things I'm able to do. I'm able to read. I got eyes. I can see. I got a roof over my head. I got clothes on my back. I got an opportunity to meet some valuable people. I got an opportunity to let God's light shine through me. Let my light shine through Him, so it can win souls because it's all about souls. And baseball has been a platform for you, baseball platform for me, and this is like full time for me, full time ministry. I take this serious because it's all about souls at the end of the day. Because we don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow. But I want to say thank you,
yeah,
thank you again. And I got a saying that I end my show on this one. And it's called the lead effect, LED, lead effect, and the L stands for listen. And I got that because in the Bible it says faith without works is dead. And if you can hear it, you can do it. And the E stands for execute. You can't execute something if you're not listening. You don't know what direction to go in. And the D
hmm
stands for dominate. God called us all to dominate and be co-creators on this earth. So that's the lead effect. And I'm going to say this again. We had a very own MLB player, Orlando Merced, has been in the Major League Baseball over 13 years, rookie runner up in 1991. Mike Bagwell as well. Played with some of my very favorite people: Barry Bonds, Boy Bonilla, Mo Vaughn, Tim Wakefield. The list goes on and on, but we're gonna have to do this another time because, I mean, this has been a classic. This is one of my classics. This is episode 14. We had the very own Major League Baseball player Orlando Merced. I'm signing out. Thank you, Orlando. Have a blessed and prosperous day. Hey, I love you. We'll talk again. Take care.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, and God bless you as well.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.